Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar that is designed to present the TCNJ RTC joined Master of Education Instruction Program specifically for school administrators. This program will also include some information about professional development opportunities, and I'm very happy to have these 30 minutes to talk to you about a program I love and that I spend 50 hours a week developing. I'll be your host. My name is Alan Amtis. I'm the director of the Master of Education and Instruction Program for the College of New Jersey. Joining me today as moderator will be Michael Ellard, who's the Assistant Director for Graduate Programs here at TCNJ as well. Along the way, I'm going to introduce you to a few guest speakers from the K-12 world of New Jersey. The first will be Emmanuel Caravano, who is principal of Indian Fields Elementary School in South Brunswick. Then we'll hear from Richard Panacucci, who's the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction for the Bergen County Technical Schools, a string of several interrelated schools throughout northern New Jersey and Bergen County, obviously. And Cindy Sobieski, who is an 8th grade language arts teacher at the Matawan Aberdeen Middle School. We'll also hear from two guest presenters who will represent the RTC side of the program, which stands for Regional Training Center, who is the partner with the College of New Jersey in these programs. We'll hear from Michael Kuzala, who is their academic director, and Jim Gilbert, who is the regional director of instruction. And just a sort of word of caution, please don't confuse RTC with ROTC. That's a very different program. So I'm going to start off just by giving you a quick overview of the Master of Education program first, and then we'll switch to the professional development side of the program. The official title of the program is it's a Master of Education in Educational Leadership and Instruction, but it's really focused squarely on the instruction, as you'll see from the upcoming slides. It's a 32-credit master's degree program. It's an MED as opposed to an MAT, which means that it's for specifically working already certified teachers who wish to enhance their personal and professional development as classroom teachers. This is not a program for people who are looking to leave the classroom. This is a program for teachers who are looking to stay in their classroom and do what they do with enhanced skills. We strongly feature a theory, practice, reflection model with strategies for immediate classroom use. What you learn in our classes over the weekend, you can apply to your class on Monday morning. The program, as I said, does not lead to principal or supervisory certification, although one of our guest speakers actually has returned to school to achieve his principal certification. And he'll speak to us from his perspective, combining those two things. We are now beginning our 12th year with the MED program. It's our 15th year for the professional development courses, which preceded the master's program by about 3 years. In the 2014 to 2016 school years, we served teachers from 240 of New Jersey's 572 school districts. So just about 42% of school districts in New Jersey have had teachers take classes with us. Our classes are scheduled in weekend intensive format as developed at Harvard and Lesley universities. That's the courses that are offered during the school year. In the summers, presumably when teachers aren't working full-time, we do midweek classes as well. They have the same contact hours and the same content as traditional courses that meet once a week for 15 weeks. And course tuition, and this is a particular point of interest for school administrators, is almost 50% less than the traditional on-campus course tuition. I realize it says 50% of traditional on-campus tuition. I wanted to make sure you understood it was 50% less, not more. We are fully accredited. Our program is accredited by NCATE, which is the National Council for the Accreditation of Teacher Education Programs. It's now become known as CAPE, which is the Council for Accreditation of Education Programs. And we're also accredited by, we've met the requirements for graduate level courses required by the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. Brief overview of the program. It has 3 major components. As I said, it's a 30-credit master's program. There's an instructional core that all students are required to take, a research core that all students are required to take, and then a concentration option, which functions as a program elective. Here's a very brief overview, and please know that all of this information is available on our website, and we'll give you that website address at the end of the program. The instructional core courses, there were 4 of them that all students in the program are required to take. One is the Classroom Assessment Techniques course. The second is Styles of Teaching, Personality Type in the Classroom, the way different learning styles affect teaching and learning. Third is the Brain-Based Teaching and Learning course, which looks at the connection between how the brain works, how the body works, and teaching and learning as educational activities and behaviors. And lastly, Differentiated Instruction. As you can see, all 4 of these courses address how do we teach to reach all learners. The second required collection of classes are 3 sequential research courses, which are focused on classroom-based research that looks at how teachers relate to their students and are based on the challenges that teachers identify as their most pressing need in the coming school years. Those 3 classes are an introduction to teacher research, exploration of classroom inquiry. The second is more of a methods course on how to do this thing called classroom-based research, called modes of inquiry and research. And the third is a course where teachers actually do a classroom-based study based on their initial research question and a presentation. And all courses are designed to be to incorporate self-study so that they really address the issues that teachers are facing in the contemporary classroom. And then the third component is a concentration option area, and students in our program choose one of these 3 option areas, either teaching strategies, the diverse classroom, or classroom climate and management. And the specific courses under each of those is available on our website. A quick overview of the professional development courses from the perspective of those who might want to take courses without leading to a degree. The courses are all correlated to teachers' needs as identified by New Jersey's own teachers. We have a strong degree of customer satisfaction. We take our course evaluations very seriously. We review each one of them for suggestions and respond to those. All instructors hold advanced degrees, either doctorates or master's degrees, and are course certified, which means they've all audited or taken the course that they're teaching themselves. Many courses are offered in either online or face-to-face format. We offer both formats for many of our courses. Courses are offered in 38 sites throughout New Jersey currently. Hopefully we can expand that to include your district. And that's the final point on this slide, is that courses can be offered in your district. That can be arranged if we have a cohort of 10 or more students. We can offer a course right in your district. So now I want to turn over the program to our guest speakers whose words, I think, of experience will really speak louder than the overview I can give you. The first of these, and each one will have about 3 minutes to speak, and then we'll have time for question and answer at the end. The first of these is Emmanuel Caravana, who, as I said, is currently a principal at Indian Fields Elementary School in South Brunswick. Emmanuel is a former elementary school teacher of health and PE who completed his MED with us in 2010. His research question at that time focused on using student journaling to both assess their understanding of content and lesson objectives, and also to improve his own instructional practices, which is the focus of our program. In 2012, he returned to school to obtain his administrative and supervisory certification, and Emmanuel is going to tell us now some of his perspectives and experience within the program, both as a graduate and as a school principal.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me, Alan. I appreciate this opportunity to connect with some individuals about this great program. I want to first start by sharing that TCNJ, in conjunction with your program, the RTC, did provide me the most beneficial content and applicable knowledge compared to the 3 programs I've been a part of in my undergrad, my teaching certification, and as well as my admin certification combined, I have to say. It was completely applicable knowledge that he said, as he said, got put into play Monday morning when I began after a long weekend in the program, which was a lot of hard work, but truly beneficial. When I started with the RTC program coursework in 2008, administration wasn't a goal of mine. I had enrolled just to acquire some best teaching practices and learn techniques that would help me become a better educator. In phys ed, I was passionately, I had a strong desire to be connected to the classroom curriculum. My wife was a second grade teacher, so I tried to pull things that her second graders were learning with science, social studies, reading, and tie that into phys ed. So I had a burning desire to move, not just beyond, but move outside of my comfort zone in phys ed in the gymnasium to help positively impact the culture and programs of an elementary school, which is when I finished in 2010. I did pursue that in 2011, the administration side of it. RTC helped me learn what great teaching was and more so how to do it, which is the most important thing when you're trying to impact student learning. Alan discussed my action research a bit. I just tried to take phys ed to a new level by assessing the student experience. I wanted to see how my instruction was delivered, how it was received in the eyes and mind and perception of a young child. Through the journaling and my own journaling, I compared and looked for trends in the way I laid out lessons and used that to modify and change my instruction going forward in the next lesson. So I use it for my planning as well. In my current position, I use what I learned from RTC to identify and recognize the best practices in the areas of assessment, cooperative learning, classroom climate, and instructional delivery in my teachers now. I see these best practices and I commend them because I have amazing teachers around me and I know that they are impacting the lives of children. I've also hired teachers based off of the things I've learned from RTC, so I'm really just proud to be an alum of this program. I've always told Alan if there's anything I can do to promote it, it's a deep passion of mine to help it be successful. That's all I have to say about my influence and the influence of the program has had on my career and my personal life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emmanuel. That's I'm not surprised, but I'm delighted always to hear you again talk about how much you value this program. I hope you won't mind my telling our audience that not only were you one of our most motivated students, but you are our valedictorian the year you graduated. So
I have an objection to that, Alan. Please don't say that.
Oh, well, I won't do that. The jury will disregard that comment.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. I take that seriously, and I appreciate that was a wonderful honor that day.
And it was wonderful to have you. I'm going to move on to our next speaker, who is Richard Panacucci, who is the only one of our three speakers who actually hasn't been a student in our program. But Richard heard about us through his superintendent, Howard Lerner, and has worked with us over the past year to bring us in to do some professional development workshops on their professional development days. Rich has the responsibility for supervising the curricular profile for over 200 teachers at Bergen County Technical School's 3 campuses in northern New Jersey. As I said, he's invited us to present professional development workshops at each of his campuses and has come to know and be a strong supporter of our work through that. So, Rich, if you'd like to share some of your experience and your teacher's experience with our listeners, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, Alan. Hi, everyone. As Alan said, I guess I'm a different kind of customer in this situation, as I'm not a graduate of the program, but I can definitely share my experiences in terms of how the faculty from this program has really helped me in my job. So in my position as assistant superintendent, one of the things that I do is coordinate all of the professional development for our 277 teachers. So one of the key steps in that process is in the summer we get together and do a pretty intense needs assessment, similar to, I'm sure, the kinds of a needs assessment that a lot of districts do when it comes to professional development. So I work together with my admin team and also something that we call our school improvement panels. So each school building has a committee, consists of the principal, the vice principal, as well as some lead teachers. And we look at a few different data sets to determine what our professional development needs are. So for us, that would be our faculty opinion survey, where we basically just do an online electronic survey where we ask the teachers what they feel they need, what they feel their most pressing professional growth needs are. We also look at classroom observation data. We use the Danielson model, which is a fairly detailed rubric. So through that, I can see how teachers are performing in around 25 different components that range from instructional planning to establishing a positive environment, as well as actual instructional techniques. And the last thing we look at, probably most importantly, would be student assessment data. For us, that would be, as a high school, a secondary district, that would be the PARC, as well as our College Board AP and International Baccalaureate test results. So all of that data goes into the conversation, and from that, we try to pull out what our PD needs are. So in the beginning of last year, in that summer, one of the main things that we came out with was engaging students and our teachers' ability to employ teaching methods that really keep students not only focused and on task, but sincerely inspired and enthusiastic in what they're doing. Now at that time, as Alan explained via my superintendent, I had the opportunity to meet Alan, and we started to put together a plan that was definitely a critical pillar in last year's professional development program. And that plan had two pieces. One was the team of Alan, Jim, and Michael coming down and doing some training sessions for about 60 or so of our teachers on kinesthetic teaching techniques. The other piece of that was recruiting and getting our teachers involved in the graduate program itself. So that kicked off, and let me talk a little bit about how successful it was. So now we're fast forward a year. We have clearly increased the number of distinguished scores in that particular aspect of teaching, engaging students in learning. And we have also, and I think more importantly, increased the number of teachers that earn the highly effective rating at the end of the school year. So last year we went up from 76 highly effective teachers at the end of, that would have been 14-15, to last year 94 teachers across the district out of my 277 earned the highly effective rating. And I really think that the partnership was a key part of that clear improvement. The other thing is we really have some really strong anecdotal feedback evidence from teachers at how much they like the PD experience. Just to share with you, when we surveyed our teachers in June, 90% of the teachers felt that their PDs met, that their PD needs were met last year, and I think this program was a big part of that improved number there. Also, just some general comments from the teachers themselves who went through the kinesthetic teaching training. One teacher said this was in capitals, this was the best session we have had thus far. Great information, exclamation mark. Another teacher said, I've always believed that kinesthetic teaching would help, but now I have more resources to carry it out. And a third said, ideas and strategies were thoroughly presented and can be used immediately in our classrooms. And I think that dovetails on what Alan said in his presentation. So we have been a customer, a different kind of customer, but I think this program has had a clear, significant impact on our professional development program, and my observation data shows it's had an impact in terms of what the students are experiencing in the classroom.
Richard, thank you so much for all of that information. A lot of it was new to me, and I know that's exactly the kind of thing our audience wants to hear. Connecting graduate work to enhance student engagement is an incredibly challenging dimension to document, and I'm really happy to hear that we've been part of that for your schools. Our third speaker comes to us right from the classroom. Her name is Cindy Sobieski, and she has taught middle school language arts for the past 8 years. One of her enduring questions has been about how collaborative classroom cultures can contribute to student engagement and peer relations. Her research on that theme was recently published in an academic journal, the Educational Forum, and in 2017, Cindy will also present her work at the University of Pennsylvania's Ethnography Conference, and her study has also been accepted for presentation at the American Educational Research Association's annual meeting. We're very proud of the work she's done, and she's a recent graduate of our program of 2016. So, Cindy, if you'd like to share with us some of your reflections on your work as a teacher and student.
Yes, thank you, Ellen, very much. Hi, everyone. So my graduate school experience felt unique because unlike school workshops where we're typically lectured, RTC designs hands-on courses where we participated in activities that we could use directly in the classroom the next day, just like Manny said. The topics covered by the courses helped us to understand how we learn so that we can understand how our students learn. For example, one of the infamous courses called Styles of Teaching Personalities in the Classroom was designed for us to define our own personalities to help us understand how different personality types interact and learn in the classroom. And once I took that course, I felt like I looked at my students, my colleagues, and even my family and friends through a new lens. And I always felt like the courses I took, I could always take something away that day and apply it into my classroom. Also, I was very interested in the concentration on discipline and motivation, since most often our school PD is about differentiation. So this opportunity was different for me because I was able to learn new strategies and approaches to motivate students and understand the dynamics that make students display negative behavior within my classroom and help my students learn more effectively. Also, I just want to say that I took half my courses online and half in person, and I know people go back and forth, they're not sure if online or in person is right for them, but I did a mixture of both, and I felt like the experience was positive both ways, and each teacher makes it interactive depending on which way you do it. So, and then lastly, what I really took away from the program was learning through my action research course. My professor spent a lot of time helping me to think critically about an issue I was facing that I wanted to study, and through the research process, it made me think about my teaching in a new way. And now I feel encouraged by taking risks, and the strategies I used in my research study I actually still use today to help understand and improve peer relations within my classroom. And what makes this program stand out is that I genuinely feel that my graduate program was money well spent and a huge investment on my understanding not only in my classroom but for understanding everyone in general, humanity, which was not something I expected going into it, and I feel grateful that I was able to take away. Also, when I went into it, if someone told me that fast forward to the end of my program I was going to get my work published, I never would have expected that, and I would have said they were kidding. So the fact that I was lucky enough to have that opportunity afterward really made it even that more memorable for me.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I've often said if you really want to know how a program works, ask its students. And I think when teachers speak in their own authentic voice, it's really more powerful than almost anything else I can say about this program. I want to be very respectful of people's time. We have two more speakers that we're going to hear from, but before we do, I want to let you know that this webinar, once it's complete, will be mounted on our websites, and a link to it will be sent to you so that you can go back and listen to any part of it that you may miss. I just want to quickly jump ahead to show you that we have some informational slides about how to contact us that you'll be able to access. There are phone numbers and emails for all of us who work the program, so you can always return to that. I do want to give a minute or two to each of the two presenters from the Regional Training Center who work with the College of New Jersey on making this program as effective as it is for teachers and school districts. The first is Michael Kuzala, who is the academic director. He's a classically trained musician, and he literally co-wrote the book on kinesthetic movement in the classroom. And for a sample of his work and what one of our classes might look like if you attended it, you can visit the site of his very popular TEDx talk, which is featured on the next slide. Mike, would you care to give us just a little overview of your work as the academic director?
Sure, thank you, Alan. And probably the biggest thing for me is to keep communication open with Alan. We talk weekly, if not more. We meet quarterly just to talk about issues of communication, institutional issues, accreditation issues, and any other issues that have to do with keeping the program moving forward, and how do we innovate, how do we keep our customers satisfied and hold it to a very high standard. So Alan and I work on that all the time. I'm also on the executive management team of the Regional Training Center that looks at big picture issues focused on the business. Again, how do we move forward? It was a process for us to move towards online work, which we've been doing now for several years. And so decisions like that are made on a semi-regular basis on the executive management team. Probably the most important work that I do is overseeing our 3-person instructional team. That's where a lot of the guts of what we do takes place. Whether it's dealing with accreditation issues, dealing with instructors, reading evaluations, and if need be, coaching instructors, visiting courses. All 3 of us on the instructional team visit courses and visit instructors. We talk to participants. We, frankly, are in almost every course that is offered. In the 3 states, but also specifically in New Jersey, which Jim will talk more about. I also oversee course revision. Our courses are designed. We need to make sure that we keep up to date and keep our courses moving ahead in a positive direction. So I oversee that as well. And my history with Regional Training Center briefly goes back to being an instructor, and I've co-designed or designed 4 different courses for the Regional Training Center, and eventually became the assistant director, then director of instruction, then academic director. So I have a really good feel for the business and how it operates and the things that we need to do to move forward. And the instructional team is fantastic. They really helped me with that. And Alan's been fantastic as well in helping us in that regard as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. That reminds me that I do want to mention that the College of New Jersey's reputation as a premier institution of education and learning is well-deserved and hard-won, and we take our commitment to the quality of our coursework seriously, and that's reflected not only in our on-campus courses, but in these off-campus programs as well. And Mike and Jim, who you're about to hear from in a second, both contribute strongly to that. I want to introduce briefly Jim Gilbert, who is the Regional Director for New Jersey, Regional Director of Instruction for New Jersey through the RTC, and he supervises and visits all courses in New Jersey, providing direct contact with our students and ongoing quality management. Jim, would you like just a minute to talk briefly about the professional development side of the program?
Yes, thank you. In fact, when I walk into classes, people call me by name, so that's how often they see me in classes. So we are always paying attention to what's going on in virtually every one of our classes. I made a list of things I needed to talk about, and we've covered so many of them, so let me just tick off a couple quick things here. Just in terms of myself, I've been with the company for 20 years and taught over 120 of these courses. I haven't taught in a while, but I taught a lot of them. We have 21 courses in altogether that we offer right now. That changes all the time. We're always adding, and when a course kind of has seen its life expectancy, then we decide it's time to move on from that course. So 17 of those courses are used in our master's program, although people only take, depending on their concentration, 7 of them. And then the rest of them are all equal in terms of value. They have the same caliber of instructor, the same caliber of work, whether it's taken for professional development or not, or for the MEd program. I want to say one thing about online. Our online courses have the same instructors as our face-to-face courses and the same requirements. They must have taken the course to be able to teach it. Unlike some online programs, our participants always have to have contact with the instructor and with other members of the class all through the program. And that's pretty much it, Alan. I think we've covered everything else. So because of time, I think I'll sign off.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. I want to, again, be respectful of our time. We're just about almost at the 4 o'clock mark. We're going to stay online for about another 5 minutes just to wrap this up and to share some questions that have come up through the webinar. Those of you that must leave, thank you so much for your time. And again, we will be in touch with you with a link to the remainder of this program should you wish to view it. Here is a screenshot of our two websites. They're linked together, so it doesn't matter which portal you enter from. We just wanted to give you both of them. One is a little more concrete, the other is a bit longer, but both of those are active websites that you can visit. And I want to spend just a few minutes fielding some questions that have come up through the process. And the first is actually a question for Mike and or Jim, which is, what is the process for scheduling a class within or near my district?
Take it, Mike.
Okay, yeah, that's a process where you contact the Regional Training Center office, and they really run the scheduling from there. And we certainly have done that in many instances where somebody wants a particular course, they would like it at a particular site, and sometimes with a particular instructor. And so staying in contact with Chris Carlin at the RTC office is an important part of that in running a course on your campus. And we can also vary the schedule. We've done it different ways for different people. And because of the way our courses are designed and how they run, we can work on the scheduling with you as well. So yeah, contacting the main RTC office and asking for Chris and having that conversation with her is a good starting point.
Great, thank you. We have another question, which again is for Mike and Jim, although I can offer a little bit of insight into that. And then we have a question for the teachers. The question is, how do you decide which courses you offer, and how do you decide how to develop new courses? And I'm going to turn that over to both Mike and Jim, but I do want to say that we take our students' experience and challenges and needs very seriously. We're very closely connected to what teachers in this state say they want and need. But I'm going to let Mike and Jim add to that.
Yeah, that's a constant conversation. And we often get it right. There's been a couple of times when, maybe we should have looked in a different direction. But, for instance, our Universal Design for Learning course, it was something that was being strongly endorsed by certain national organizations. And so I went to a conference at Harvard and spent a week learning about it. And I actually met a gentleman there who ended up doing the course design for us. So we try to stay on top of the research and on top of the educational literature and world, and try to sometimes anticipate, see what's coming, that the market will bear. It will be good for teachers, will be good for kids. Our mission is really about kids, and do the course design process from there. Reading journals and trying to anticipate and thinking about what would really be best for teachers and students in the classroom.
Great. We have also sunsetted courses that seem to have overstayed their welcome, haven't we?
Yeah, a good example of that was the Multiple Intelligences course, which was once our most popular course, and basically that became old news, and so we felt like it was time to retire that course.
Thank you. I have a question that's directed at our graduates, both Cindy and Emmanuel, if you'd care to share some of your experience. Was it difficult to manage the program while being a full-time teacher, which is often more than a full-time commitment in itself?
I'll go ahead. Since you had the web experience, I'll let you go, and then I'll if you miss any points, I'll follow up on. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if I'm just really good at balancing, but I feel like, I did that. I did volunteer work, and I taught full-time, and I felt like I did a lot of work, but because it was so closely linked to what I was doing in my classroom, and it was such genuine learning that I felt like I wasn't doing something that was a waste of my time, and I felt really invested in it, so I was able to balance teaching and doing the grad school work. If it was monotonous, it was a lot of work that I didn't feel like was actually worth my time, it would have felt like it was too much. But the way the courses are designed is the professors who do it through the online they balance everything out. So they'll say maybe you have something due on Thursday and then something due on Saturday. So they're very flexible because they realize that we are full-time teachers working. Whereas the online courses, everything's going on the weekend, but then you don't have much to do in the weeks between. You're maybe doing 1 or 2 writing assignments, whereas a lot of the bulk of your work and reading is during the actual course itself. So I felt like I was able to balance. It was very rare. Only during my research courses did I feel a little bit overwhelmed, but again, that was based on what I was doing in my classroom. So because it felt like authentic learning, I didn't mind. I didn't feel like I was being burdened, whereas some of the other stuff we do in our daily job does feel overwhelming.
I would agree with all those statements. I didn't take the web-based courses, but I knew that it was tiring on those long weekends, Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, and then going back to work on Monday, not feeling you had any downtime to kind of recoup. I was in the courses before children, before I had my 2 daughters, so that was a different experience. Obviously, if you have young children, it might be challenging, but again, just like she shared, the application and the desire to be in that class and part of those conversations and learning far supersedes the exhaustion and hard work. But anything that is worth anything is hard work. You don't just fly through the coursework and hey, that was a breeze. It was a valuable time, valuable weekend. I'm still connected to actually a few people in my cohort. The action research was probably the hardest part of the program, but again, what you get out of it is far more important than just breezing through a program that offers truly nothing to get out of it.
Thank you both for those very honest appraisals of your experience. Cindy, you used a wonderful phrase, genuine learning. You also used the term authentic learning, and that's really what our courses are about. Our sort of unofficial motto for this program is that we like to think we're changing the face of New Jersey education, one teacher at a time. But I think using the succinct phrase genuine learning really sums it up even better. And Emmanuel, thank you for your acknowledgement of the fact that these courses are hard work. When we went through our accreditation process, one of the NCATE evaluators asked a panel of our students about their experience. And one of them shared something that reflects what you said, which is that we're professional teachers. We come into these courses serious, knowing what we need, and we want it, and we work hard to get it. And I think that's a pretty good testament to the framework that these courses offer to teachers. We had one last question. Are all courses offered every semester? The answer is no, not every course is offered every semester. But we do offer courses throughout the school year and through the summer. And if there was a particular course that a district was interested in, we could work to schedule that course specifically for that district. So in a sense, we do make every attempt to provide coursework where and as it's needed. And that really does bring us to the end of our program. Thank you all for hanging in there for this. We know we went a few minutes over, but we hope you feel it was worth it. To contact us, you can reach any one of us, either myself or Michael Ellard, who works at TCNJ in graduate admissions, Mike Cruzalo or Jim Gilbert, who work the RTC side, or contact Chris Carlin at RTC directly. Please visit our websites. These are in addition to the ones we showed you earlier. And that one on the bottom that says EduAction, that is not a typo. We use that on purpose to strengthen the fact that these are action-oriented courses. And you may log out now. It's the end of the webinar, but I hope a beginning for you and your school district. Thank you all very much.